Take a look now at the global virus numbers here for you. Coronavirus cases, they surged past 1.6 million. It's worldwide. The infection has killed now more than 96,000 people we know. The virus has been detected in at least 210 countries and territories, as well as every continent except Antarctica. Right now, the hardest hit countries are the United States, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany. Heading to the United States, more than 16,500 Americans have succumbed to the infection as confirmed cases across the nation tops 466,000. COVID-19 has been detected in all 50 states, with the majority of cases on the Northeast. And New York remains the eye of the outbreak, with more than 161,000 infections and more than 7,000 deaths. But there is some good news. On your Good Friday, more than 26,500 Americans across the country have reportedly recovered from the deadly infection.
During yesterday's White House task force briefing, Coordinator Dr. Birx reported new data showing that men have a higher test positivity rate for coronavirus than women.
Of the male-female ratio, 56% of the people who are tested are female, 16% positive, 44% male, 23% positive. So again, it gives you an idea about how men often don't present in the healthcare delivery system until they have greater symptomatology. This is to all of our men out there, no matter what age group. If you have symptoms, you should be tested.
Joining to discuss is Dr. Chakra Chakraborty, risk and behavioral scientist, and Peter Pitts, president and co-founder of the Center for Medicine in the Public Interest. Good to hear from both of you this morning. Dr. Chakra, we'll start with you. Can you give us your response to this new data being shared by Dr. Birx?
Sure. This is preliminary data indicating there may be a gender effect associated with COVID-19. And so we know that there's biological differences between men and women. Women have two X chromosomes, which gives them more defense to these types of immune attacks, but also paradoxically gives them more autoimmune disorders like Crohn's disease, for example. There's also behavioral differences between men and women. Men tend to be more risk-seeking. We see in Southeast Asian countries, men are more likely to engage in risky behaviors like smoking, and that could also then result in more susceptibility to something like COVID-19. So it's still early data, but ultimately, in addition to gender, some data that we're getting out of the global numbers that are coming in is still, now we know 90% of those, 95% of those who have fallen ill and have died from COVID-19 are over the age of 60, and 99% of those have an underlying condition. So these are critical takeaways that we need to think about as we think about bringing people back to work.
Yep. Peter Pitts, I want to bring you in here and talk more about those underlying conditions. How much of a role does it play in potentially hospitalizations or even fatalities from COVID-19?
A high-risk population is an excruciatingly important discussion for many reasons, not the least of which is therapeutics. People are talking about various products like chloroquine, for example. And what's important to understand is that 85% of people that contract COVID-19 will go home, get in bed, drink plenty of fluids, and come out through the other end of the tunnel without any medical intervention. It's the higher risk populations, the older populations, the populations with pre-existing conditions who will be hospitalized. They're the ones that doctors will most likely want to use therapeutics on. So it's important to understand who's going where, under what type of circumstances. So whether it's men or women, the real key is, are you going to convalesce at home or are you going to be hospitalized? That's really going to determine the type of treatment that you get.
Okay. Dr. Chakra, really quick, we're worried potentially about being reinfected again. What are the chances of that happening potentially once you overcome COVID-19? Is there a chance to see the infection round two?
Yes, and so we are seeing what is being referred to as reactivation of the disease. And so this might be just a unique feature associated with the roller coaster that is the experience of having COVID-19. We've heard from those who have had the disease and who are recovering from it, are in the process of recovering, saying that they have symptoms and then they feel better and then they have symptoms all over again. And so we really need to understand and define what we mean by recovery to this disease, and it varies from disease state to disease state. So does that mean that there's no longer symptoms? Does that mean that there's less than detectable viral load in the blood? Does that mean the presence of antibodies? Exactly what it means to recover from COVID-19 has yet to be determined, and once we have consensus on that globally, we'll have a better understanding of what it means to fall ill, to recover, to reactivate. All of that is in flux still.
Wow, well, I hope we find those answers sooner rather than later. That's Dr. Chakra Chakraborty, risk and behavioral scientist, and Peter Pitts, president and co-founder of the Center for Medicine in the Public Interest. Thank you both for being with us.